hit record here, and then my AI companion. All right, we're going to make sure we're taking notes. We're good to go there. All right, welcome everybody. Welcome to Leaders Wanted. Stoked for today. The first thing I want to do is just remind everybody what this group is. And also, if you're new, then you know what this group is. For those who have been here for the last 4 years or so, they know that this group is all about collaboration and helping each other hit another level, break through glass ceilings. And we train on mindset. We train on strategies that actually work on this market. And I say this market because that's always evolving and changing. And then the third thing we do is Q&A, where we do these strategy sessions where we actually help you with your business. Today, I'm super excited because we have Tosh, and he's the man. And if you guys don't know Tosh, he's up in Oregon, runs a group, ran his own brokerage for a long time. The unique thing I found about Tosh was he has about 12 agents, and all of them produce at a really high level. And 80% of their business comes from online leads, which is crazy to me, especially where I'm mostly sphere of influence. And he started explaining to me how he does that, and I was like, we got to do a training on this. He crushes it. So that we're going to have a really content heavy hour today, so we're going to get started pretty quick, but I still want to start with wins, gratitudes, or victories. So the two rules in this group are we're going to deliver like we always do, and then we're going to ask you guys to participate. So that's have your cameras on, unmute yourself, talk in the chat, raise your hand, ask questions. Is that cool? Raise your hand if that's cool. Awesome. Who would like to share a win first?
Lewis, I'll go real quick.
Heck yeah.
Huzzah. Hey guys. I'm just super excited for this year. Lewis and I on Monday got to meet with the board that we have started with our mastermind, and I am just so excited. They have a lot of really great ideas, and I think it's just going to be blown out of the water this year for you guys with what they are bringing. And so, huge shout out to Sean, Emily, and Graham because I'm beyond stoked for what they're going to be bringing to us this year. So, that was a big win.
That is a huge win. I'm so glad you brought that up. That's fantastic. Who else would like to share a win? Hey, go ahead, Becky.
I joined rate.
Oh, there you
I'm on
go.
Bruce's team.
Oh, good for you. Congratulations.
That's awesome.
That's
Yes.
awesome. Way to go. Heck yeah.
Thank you.
Who
Super
else?
cool.
Yeah, that's going to be great. Awesome. Who else would like to
I'll go,
share?
buddy.
Oh, there we go. There's one of our board members right there.
Hey, so I had actually a really cool win on Monday. We all get tagged in these Facebook posts like, "Hey, I'm looking for a realtor, this and that." Well, it finally worked for me, and I met with this couple. They were scared to death, and they're just like everyone else. They have a low interest rate, but they've outgrown their house. And I met with them for an hour and 45 minutes. By the time I left, they were excited. I took all the fear away from them, answered all their questions, and I just landed a new listing and going to help them buy a house. So it's awesome.
That's
That's awesome. Way to
awesome.
go.
Thanks.
Congratulations. Has Yeah, I think it's awesome because I get tagged in those, but they usually don't, they same with 987 other agents. So, oftentimes it doesn't actually play out. So that's
I
congrats.
I will say too, the one thing, and I think a lot of people do this, she said that she's been looking for months and like watching that group, and she said she's seen my name multiple times get tagged, and that was a big thing. And then she started stalking me a little bit and just looking at my Google reviews and everything. And so she said that was a huge, huge reason why she called me.
Isn't it wild? The online presence is
Yep.
massive in this industry.
Yes, sir.
So careful what you post.
Right.
Awesome. Let's have at least one more, one or two more.
I'll go.
Hey, sweet. All right, Jordan.
Hey guys, Jordan Wheeler. I am closing tomorrow on a deal for my brother-in-law. He is moving from Boise, and he owned a business up there, so his taxes were didn't show that he would qualify for a house, so we got him a seller finance deal here.
Oh, sweet.
in Syracuse. So we're closing on that tomorrow. I'm excited.
Congratulations.
Way to go.
You know what's cool about that is I use that in a script when I talk to people about how I set up my own economy in real estate. Because if the rates are bad, I use seller finance or whatever the industry's doing, I find a way to still make it work for my clients. So we kind of create our own luck. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
they needed their payments to be a certain amount, and so they countered back with a higher interest rate, and so I just countered back and said, hey, we can do the higher interest rate, but we need to amortize this for 40 years, and they kept their payments the exact same. So it was fun
Wow.
to get creative on it.
Diller, that's awesome, man. Congratulations. So good. We have maybe one more share.
Hey, Lewis, I got a great one for you, buddy.
Oh, Bruce. What's up, Bruce?
Hey, good morning. Happy New Year.
Hey, thank
So
you.
I took an application. This is from the mortgage side of it on a client, and he went out and found a home and wrote an offer on it on Saturday. The realtor sent me the purchase agreement on Sunday, and Monday I filled out the initial application, built the file, got it already, sent him his disclosures. He signed them. He qualifies for a program here at Guaranteed Rate called Same Day Mortgage. So same day mortgage means we bypass the processing team and I give it directly to the underwriter to process the file. So the underwriter took the file Monday night, and Tuesday morning I had a full approval with 5 conditions for clear to close. Those 5 conditions consisted of 3 letters of explanations and a testing. I needed a title report, insurance, lock the loan, and I can clear it for closing. I'm done.
Wow.
I will be done by Friday, Monday through Friday, clear to close.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Congratulations, man. That's
Thank you.
awesome. Wow, what a win.
That is a new record.
That
What
is
a
a
way to
record.
start a year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's incredible. Wow. That's amazing.
Uh-huh.
Awesome. Well, what do you think? Should we get started then? I think we should do
Yeah,
it.
let's do it.
Normally we do like 10 minutes, but I know we've got a lot to cover on this, and I've already kind of introduced Tosh. He's the man. So, Tosh, why don't we have a conversation about how you went from being horrible at online leads to being great at it?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for having me, everybody. I'm excited to share this with everybody because big believer in this is a way to build your business into something that produces for you year round. No more of the winter slump, no more of the springtime scramble, just consistent business year round. So how this started for us and our team is when my wife and I started our brokerage, years ago, started having pretty steady business, did a lot of business with friends and family and referrals and stuff like that. Everything was going really well. Then we started bringing on agents to our team. And if you run a team, what do you have to do with agents? You've got to feed them, right? So
Yeah.
we're like, hey, let's try this online leads thing we've been hearing about. This sounds good. You pay somebody some money, you get some leads. This is going to be fantastic, right? Instant money.
Put a one in
Has
the
anybody
chat
ever
if
heard?
you've ever paid for leads and maybe they weren't what you thought they were. I'm
Yeah.
curious if that's ever happened to anyone. So, Laurie,
There we
that's
go.
for
Now we're
sure.
seeing, yes, definitely. So, and I'm a research guy. Like I love diving deep. So we researched the lead programs and we picked the one we thought it was the best, and it wasn't cheap. So we started shelling out the money. The leads started coming in. Our database was filling up. This is awesome, right? I'm sure you've been there. I see by the number of ones. You started picking up the phone. Guess what happened? Nobody answers. People hang up on you. People tell you to pack sand, right? Whatever it is, not interested, have an agent, all that kind of stuff. And suddenly I realized that everybody was right. Online leads suck. All those people that told me don't pay for leads, they were right. And man, did I feel dumb. Here I've got a team full of agents. I've got all these leads, and it's making me nothing and costing me a lot. So I was vocal about this. I started complaining about it online because that's what we do, right? You take your grievances to Facebook. And one day I'm walking out to my car in the parking lot and the phone rings. I pick it up because I'm one of those agents that answers their phone. Anybody here?
Yeah, put a two
And
in
on
the chat if
the
you answer your phone. How about that? Let's see how many people answer their phone.
So on the other end is the CEO of a major league company. And he says, "Hey, I saw your post." I'm like, "Uh-oh, I know where this is going." And he's asked me, he said, "Hey, where did your business come from? You know, you've been successful. I know that." I said, "Well, friends and family and referrals." You know, proudly, I tell him my business is 75% referrals. And he's like, "Oh, so all your businesses come from people who already know, like, and trust you, right? And they already know what they want, right?" I'm like, "Well, yeah. Well, what about the people that don't know you? The people that don't know what they want? How are you helping them?" And I started all of a sudden to feel like, you remember when you were a kid and your parents caught you doing something bad? And you're like, "Oh boy." That's how it started to feel. And he made a challenge to me to spend 6 months learning how to convert online leads. And he gave me some resources. And he said, "Check back. If it doesn't work for you, we will refund everything that you put into this." So the next day, we started learning how to convert online leads. We read the books. We took the classes. I put my team through 6 months of training, 2 days a week with a national trainer. And you know what happened? We started converting these leads. When people picked up the phone, all of a sudden, instead of saying the things that were making hang up, we were starting conversations. In the first year, we doubled our production. In the next year, we doubled that production. And it went on that way for quite a while. And the other thing that happened was our pipeline was full year round.
Honey, do you have any
Hey, Dessa,
Oh,
can you
sorry.
Yep.
So these leads do take 3 to 6 months to convert. They aren't, leads that are the Zillow guy that's ready to go see a property right now. These leads do have to be nurtured. But the happy byproduct was all of a sudden we started having business year round. And also we were cultivating relationships with people and we were able to get referral business from them. Because
So
the thing
what,
is,
can I ask a question?
yes, please.
So I want to make sure I heard that right. You doubled your production,
Yep.
and then you essentially quadrupled it from the
Yep.
start because you doubled it again with online leads.
Right.
But it
Yeah.
takes 3 months to 6 months to convert them. So it's not a get
Yeah.
quick rich thing.
So let me clarify when we're talking about online leads, just so we're all on the same page. We're not talking about the portals. We're not talking about Zillow or Realtor.com that are live transfer leads. Because obviously, most of those people are ready to do something actionable right then, right? I want to go see a house. They know what they want. And I'm not talking about cold calling. I'm not talking about buying a list from the county of, potential foreclosures or anything like that. I'm talking online leads that have taken some sort of actionable step. They clicked on a property, they signed up on a website. Maybe this is something that comes from ZBuyer or Ylopo or any host of these things. It doesn't really matter where they come from. But the thing is they have to be converted, and we'll get into why they have to be converted. But the good thing we found is that anybody here pay for Zillow? Put that in the chat, right?
Yeah, put Zillow in the chat if you pay for Zillow.
Yep. And what I want to point out about Zillow is that, and I'm not bashing Zillow, but because they're great. Oftentimes it's a person that's actionable, ready to go see a property, ready to write an offer, right? We've all been there. You pick up the phone, you show the property, you write an offer, bam, in a couple of weeks you're done. It's great. Easy paycheck. The problem is you've not built a relationship with that person. You haven't spent 3 to 6 months cultivating them, getting them to trust you. And at the end of that, they're so happy with you, excuse me, that they want to tell everybody about you. They want to refer you. You're now a trusted friend and family member to a lot of these people. Whereas a lot of the portal leads are very transactional and you don't get an opportunity to build a relationship. The
That's
other
true.
good,
And you notice nobody said they were paying for Zillow.
yeah, good, right?
It's expensive and it's
Yep.
hard to get in on Zillow.
Yeah. And here's the other plus of online leads is they're generally much cheaper, right? Because they're not so far at the bottom of the funnel, as we call it, right? They're more at the top. They don't know what they're doing. So that's sort of our backstory, right? And how we did that. So we have taken that and now those abilities to convert leads that we've learned through all these different programs is spills over into all kinds of other aspects. Working your past clients, working your sphere, all those old leads sitting in your database, Not only that, agent recruiting, because it's the exact same methodology, right? And then also in other parts of your life, your transactional behavior with other agents. When you learn to do this properly, you're going to be amazed at what it can do for you. So I see a lot of people have paid for online leads. Would anybody like to share their experience with that?
Yeah, raise your hand if you paid for online leads and had a bad experience. Boom, I see Laurie.
Um, so I'm like Lewis, I do mostly referral based, but for my team, I was like, cool, I will do leads. And so in the past, I actually stopped it. So Tosh, I'm super excited for this because I was paying for leads, through our Lofty, that we have at Real, and everything that came through was like, just according to them, was just garbage. Either people weren't answering their phones or they would start, Jody could probably even attest because I know she used to help me with these. Um, they'd start responding and then they wouldn't. And it's just like they weren't like crazy expensive, but they were just time suckers that well, me personally, we just didn't know what to do with. And it just like we eventually just turned it off because I just was like, this is just, we're not getting anything. It's just crap. So
Yep,
it's
yep,
just that you feel like a waste of money.
yep.
And
Exactly where we were.
I'd like to say something on that. I've been successful with exactly like you, Tosh, where everything's referral. I build a relationship for years even with people, and then they send me 10 referrals, right? And somehow now I have this team and I'm trying to feed them leads, and I think I'm an expert in online leads when I've never friggin' done it. And especially I'm trying to convert leads not in the way I convert my own clients. So I don't know where the disconnect happens when you go from, hey, this is a client that I know, and I'm going to foster this relationship to, hey, this person is somebody I don't know, so I'm just going to sell them or something. Like you do a different, it's almost like you do a different sequence and it's something you're not even good at.
Yeah. Well, and
Yeah.
that's a fantastic segue for getting right into what is the core problem, right? Let's say
Yeah,
you've got all these leads in your database, right? Does anybody have a robust CRM and you've got it full of leads and people you've never talked to? Yeah, we all
Jody
do,
does.
right? Well, congratulations because you have money sitting there. Here's the good thing. According to statistics, 6% of your database will transact in a year, right? So 6% of those people that have been there for a year and a half that you feel really bad about just letting them sit there, congratulations. We're going to teach you how to revive those people and turn them into transactions.
That's
So,
awesome.
yeah, so here's the core problem. Here's where everybody gets it wrong when they pick up the phone and start making those calls. You make the calls about you. It's about your needs, right? What do you need when you call somebody? Anybody?
You're going to want their more information, what their budget is, when they're going to buy, what they're looking for, right?
Exactly. We need information, right? We can't do our job. If somebody came in, to your office and said, I want to buy something somewhere someday, is that frustrating when a buyer doesn't know what they want, right? So when we're calling them, we're calling these people because I need a commission, I need a deal, I need a connection, right? And that's what you're focused about because that's what we do, right? But the lead feels that pressure and they shut down. It's not the lead, it's you. And I'm going to give you an example of how our industry is wired. We are order takers, right? Most agents are great with their sphere in the past client because those people come with clarity. Hey, Jody, I'm so excited. We're having a baby. We need a bigger house. Lewis, we're moving to Cancun. Could you help us sell? Right? It's the clarity. They know what they want. And when people know what they want, that's when we do our best work, isn't it? But what about when people don't know what they want? I'll put it in this analogy. When you go to a restaurant, what does the waitress ask you? What you want to eat, right? Hey, I want a steak. Great. You want fries with that. And then that's the end of the transaction, right? And that's what we're wired to be as order takers. So what we need to be is order makers. And I'm going to again use a different analogy of a doctor, right? When you go to a doctor, you don't tell them what's wrong and ask them what medicine to give you. That'd be against the law, right? For them just to write a prescription for whatever you want. They ask really good questions, they diagnose the problem, and then they prescribe next steps for you, right? So when we have an online lead, we're looking to prescribe. We're looking to help them find the problem. We're looking to give them clarity. It's kind of like standing at the top of a mountain and yelling at everybody, hey, come up here when you're ready, right? That's what we do. Hey, Mr. Lead, oh, you're not interested today. Okay, well, call me back when you are. Have you ever said that to a lead? Or here's my number, right? Or just checking in, all those kind of things. That's what we say. Where we need to be is we need to be at the bottom of the mountain with them, take their hand and say, we're going to climb up together. Because let's look at what these people did. They lack clarity. Have you ever called a lead that just came into your system all excited? And what do you start doing? Peppering them with questions, right? Yeah. Lori, did you say have something there?
I was just saying, I love that analogy of climbing the mountain together. Like that, like why that just hit super hard for me. And maybe it's because like I'm so relationship based, like just shifting that mindset would just like it just hit super hard. So I just wanted to throw that in the chat for everybody because that was just spot on for me.
Yeah, yeah, it is for most of us because we're servants. We're wired to help. And when we're face to face with people or someone actionable has this issue that they need, I need this house, I need this, that's when we do our best work. It's when we lack clarity that sometimes we are not our best. And we have to shift our mindset from being an order taker to an order maker.
And I'd like to say something on that. You said pepper them with questions.
Hmm.
I'm curious on this. If everyone in the group put a one in the chat, if you've ever had a client tell you they're kind of embarrassed, they don't know what they're doing. Because when you start peppering them, we don't realize we're trying to impress them. We're intimidating them. They might not have the answers. They might have rough credit score. They might have this. They might have that. And they don't want to say to another adult person adulting in life, like, I suck. I'm not ready to buy a house. When oftentimes they actually are.
Yeah.
I had this happen last night. That's why I said that.
Yeah, exactly. Because our mindset is to approach it with, well, are you pre-qualified? Where do you want to live? What size of house do you want? How much do you want to spend? All this stuff when maybe they've just started thinking, hey, I can stop being a renter and start being an owner. But we're demanding that they give us answers for the questions that they don't even know yet, right?
Yeah.
So by becoming an order maker, excuse me, you've shifted from waiting for them to tell you what to do, but to leading them through the process, helping them climb the mountain and being the guide, which is what we all really take pride in doing, right? So there's a solution for this. And the solution is to be genuinely curious about what they're doing in their life. Put aside all of the questions that you have. Are you pre-finance? Are you pre-qualified? How much do you want to spend? All that kind of stuff. And just be curious about what they're doing. Now, as a little aside, I'll tell you how our team does it. And that is in that first conversation with a lead, we will do almost anything to not discuss real estate, not even bring it up. In fact, we'll steer the lead away from a conversation about real estate, right? Because what are we trying to do? We're trying to establish a relationship. We're trying to get them to know, like, and trust us, and we're trying to be genuinely curious about what they're doing. Does anybody really love this part of the job where we get to learn about people's lives and be involved in their biggest decisions? Absolutely, right? So how come when we get somebody we don't know on the phone, the first thing we do is start grilling them? It becomes an interrogation, right?
Oh my gosh. The fact that you just said that kind of blew my mind that you steer them away from the conversation. It's the takeaway as well. That's what I do in real estate all the time. I don't even care if you use me as a realtor. Here's what you should look at or whatever. I act like it's not even a big deal. If, I'll work with you. I'd love to work with you, but you can use whoever you want. I don't care. Or you can sell your
Yeah,
house yourself. That takeaway is big. So to take away the conversation of real estate is going to make you feel genuine, and then no other agent's going to do that.
that's right. Yeah,
You're
because
the one that's going to stick out.
yeah, yeah, exactly right. And that's, and why do we do this to people that we don't do this to the people we know, our friends and family that come to us, our sphere, but we sure do it to people that we've never met before, right? We put them in an awkward position. We make them feel, inferior for not knowing what they should be doing. And it's no wonder they don't call us back, right? Or they don't pick up the phone We aren't giving them anything of value. We aren't building a relationship. So the solution is to be genuinely curious about it. And we do that by asking great questions. And I'm going to give you the number one question right now that I can guarantee you will get engagement. What are you looking to change about where you're living right now? Has anybody ever asked a lead that? Throw a one in the chat. Now, why is this the most powerful question? Anybody want to answer that?
Will you repeat the question?
What are you looking to change about where you're living right now? This replaces, are you a renter? This replaces, are you an owner? This replaces, how many bedrooms do you want? All that kind of stuff. The reason this is such a great gateway question is they're going to give you information that you don't have to pry out of them. And it's going to be, well, we need a bigger backyard. Oh, why do you need a bigger backyard? Well, we need a third bedroom. Well, oh, really? What's important about a third bedroom? And they're going to tell you, oh, my wife's having a baby. They're going to tell you we're moving to a new spot. It's going to tell you I got a raise, whatever it is, that's going to be a great segue, right? Because who isn't going to want to tell you? They're going to tell you they hate the neighborhood they're in. They're going to tell you they hate renting, whatever it is. It's just going to open a floodgate of avenues to go down, right? And then you can expound on that. Great key phrases are like, tell me more about that, or what's the advantage to this? It's all about objection handling, but not in the sense that you've probably been trained before. Traditionally in this business, we're trained to handle by objections by making them wrong and correcting them, right? Student, teacher, you're wrong, I'm right. Instead, we're never going to make that lead feel wrong about what there is. We're going to ask them to explain what their thought process is, right? So those of you, a lot of people here have worked online leads. How many times did you get a response like, I'm waiting for the market to improve? I'm waiting for rates to come down, right? And what do you say to that? Yeah, the market sucks, right? Yeah, interest rates are really high, right? But imagine if you asked them to dive deeper on that. What would a reduction in interest rates do for you? What's beneficial about waiting a year, right? Because then you're going to learn what they're really looking for. Oh, well, I think I'm going to have more money saved up in a year. Oh, really? So what is more money? Are they working under that old misconception that it need to have 20% down or 50% down, right? These are giving you avenues to actually do what you do best, which is be the guide, the teacher, the servant, right? Instead of just saying, lock in an answer.
I had a client say to me, I don't have enough money to buy a house. And I'm like, okay, why do you say that? Because I only have $50,000. Like, you have $50,000 in savings? He's like, yeah, don't
Yeah.
I need like 200,000? I'm like, oh my, like it literally was I'm like, why do you think you need that much money to buy a house? Because whatever his belief system was, he was raised that you need to put like 50% down, right? And he's like, so I need all this money. It's crazy. Got him into a house like 2 months later.
Yeah, yeah, and it gives you an opportunity to work with this and work in their world and their mindset. I see my lovely wife Lisa Ann has chimed in here.
Hey, Lisa.
She so what her superpower when I was talking about people who will have conversations without ever talking about real estate, she's one of the top. I mean, that woman will not talk about a house, an interest rate, or anything that first conversation. It's all about building mutual connections with her. Because believe me, she's either related to everybody or went to high school with everybody in our areas.
Or now she's their best friend, right?
Yes, yeah. And you can avoid talking about things that are uncomfortable to you or you're not versed on, right? When you build a relationship with somebody and you learn more about them and they do more of the talking, that takes the pressure off of us. Most of us don't make phone calls because we're afraid we don't have the answers.
I've got to say something on this. Sorry, I know
Mhm.
I'm talking way too
No,
much.
please.
Everyone knows I talk too much. You know this. I've been trained and taught at these masterminds I go to, and I know Laurie will back me up on this. The people that control the conversation are the ones that ask the questions. It's not the ones that talk all the time, even though I talk a lot. They ask the questions because just like what you said, they can divert the conversation to something they're comfortable in talking with, or that they can provide some kind of solution. They ask a different question instead of trying to. I think as realtors, we think we have to have all the answers.
Yes.
We don't. We need to ask more questions, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Because how can you have the answers to their questions when you know nothing about them? Right.
Fair. Yeah.
So I want you to make a note of this. If you write anything down and you walk away with anything on this, this is the way you be successful with online leads is to have a major mindset shift. Stop looking for clarity and start looking for confusion in your leads. Your friend, the referral, the sphere of influence client, they have clarity. Don't apply that to people who clicked on something online or filled out an inquiry and said, "Tell me more about a property," because they are not going to have the clarity you're looking for. Look for the confusion because that's where you get to do what you do best. We all pride ourselves on being of service to our clients and having a service mindset. You can't do that if you're looking for clarity. You have to find out where they're confused, where they're lost, and help them with that.
Yeah. Clarity just wants an order taker.
Yeah, absolutely. Most Zillow leads that you pick up really want you to open a door. Do they value your ability as an agent? No. These people that we're talking about working online leads don't know they need your expertise yet. But after you've nurtured them for 3 months, 6 months, and they're ready to transact, and believe me, this is almost like clockwork that this happens. When they get ready to write an offer, you have prepared them about the market, you've prepared them in making the offer, in the steps, or you've discussed earnest money, everything, and everything is smoother from that point forward because you've been the teacher. You've put them through the bachelor's degree of making offers or listing their home. So you end up with a better product at the end and somebody who really does trust you.
I have to say one thing. You sent me a referral. Well, someone on your team sent me a referral to sell a
Mhm.
house here, and then you guys helped them buy up in Oregon. And she's sending me Christmas cards and pictures of her house because you guys did such a great job of starting that relationship and brought me into it. That me and Darby helped her out, and she's texting us on Christmas morning pictures of her Christmas tree and everything. And and she'll be a referral source for you guys for how long, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Forever.
that's awesome. That's right. And that's what we're looking for. So, we're building business off of business, right? So the other thing you've got to do, and this is tough for many agents, is especially people who are new in the business, who are struggling in the business. And I will be honest, those are usually the people that come to online needs. I need business fast, or man, I am not making deals. I need to get some stuff in the pipeline. You can't make it about you. Stop being selfish, put your ego aside, because most agents are motivated by their emotional need to feel approved and accepted by strangers. Don't tell me this isn't true because it's true for me.
Yep, 100%.
When I meet a client, I need them to see me as the professional, as the expert. How dare you, dispute my CMA, right? I'm the expert. Put this aside because this is their journey and not your journey. Stop. It's leading with commissions, it's leading with your needs. That needs to stop and it needs to start being about their journey up the mountain. So when a lead says, "I'm not ready," our tendency is to hang up the phone and feel rejected. Okay. When a lead says they're not ready, what they're telling you is, "I'm not sure what to do next, and I don't have the answer you want. So I want to get away from this conversation as quickly as possible." You actually set them up to have to reject you when you think about it. So instead of asking when they say they're not ready, you might ask a question more like, "Oh, what is the advantage to waiting?" Right? Instead of just hanging up that phone, it's dig deeper. Tell me more. What are you going to find out? "Oh, I'm starting a new job." "Oh, I'm returning from maternity leave." All this kind of stuff that gives you opportunity to dig deeper. Okay? Anybody have any questions so far on what we've covered?
Yeah, raise your hand or put a one in the chat if you have a question. Looks like we might have. Do you feel like this applies to social media leads over real estate driven leads?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because, in fact, probably even more so because it's so easy for people on social media to just to just make an instant connection, but without really having any substance. Does that make sense? You know, they're farther away from the closing table than almost anybody, right?
Make
So
Alicia asked a really good question. Do you have scripts you use?
we do have scripts. Now, I don't like to use the word scripts. We have frameworks because scripts are somebody else's words. Now, in the beginning, you should follow scripts and good scripts, but over time, the more important thing is repetition and practice. And that's where most agents go, you know. Anybody ever got a robocall about your car's extended warranty, right? Are those people reading off a script? Yeah, you know, you can spot that a mile away. You can spot a sales call a mile away.
I'll say something on that as well,
Hmm.
Tosh. When I was training people to do interviews, people that don't know, I used to be a firefighter, and one time I interviewed with 700 other firefighters, and I got the top one spot. And it was because I went to a 5-week program on how to interview, and it was all about not having a script. It
Yeah,
was all about having golden nugget moments that you could bring up that were moments of like victory because they ask you, when have you dealt with conflict? How have you dealt with this? Da, da, da. And you have all these things that are already in your brain that are truthful that you can remember. And it was how you frame the question and how you got to interact with the other people on the other side of the table. And the more comfortable I made them feel, the higher I was rated. And it wasn't by a script, it was by having an algorithm in my head of going, if it goes down this road, I'm going to bring up this story. If it goes down this road, I'm going to bring up this story. So I could see it. I've used that in real estate where, yeah, Sean asked a question. Do you have questions asked? Because you don't know which question you'll need until it comes up. So if you have just a direct script, it's going to feel scripted. If you have an algorithm of multiple different questions you're going to ask, that's going to be better, in my opinion. Is that what you're saying?
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So yes, initially we did start with scripts. Our new agents do start with scripts, but those scripts are really more a framework. The far more important thing is the role play aspect. Now, our team does it once a week without fail. And we, because the thing is, the objections never change. They've never changed. Now, some of them, you know, shift topically with market rate. Interest rates are high, interest rates, you know, are low, whatever it might be. But it's the role play. If you can't role play this with people you know and create good answers and good engagement, you're not going to be able to do it with somebody you can't even see their face or read their feedback, right? So that's far more important than having a script to follow. It's asking really great questions. So that's the replacement for the script. And yes, to answer the questions in the chat, Lewis has some slides and stuff we'll share with everybody afterwards. And
Yeah,
it's
we
all
have
that.
a participant worksheet, and we have several things we're going to share with you.
Yeah. What I really want you to think about is this is having conversations with a friend. If you were at a friend with dinner, would you ask them if they're pre-approved? Would you put them on the spot with questions that make them uncomfortable or they don't know answers to? Or would you ask questions about their life and what they have going on? And would you say, no, you're wrong, Lewis? You know, when interest rates go down, there's not going to be more opportunity, right? You're going to be the professional and you're going to explain the reality of things. So what we're working in here is clearing up a world of confusion and building relationships, right? I'll give you an example of some things that really need to shift in the way you're approaching leads, and it's small stuff. So instead of scripts, it's changing small behaviors. For example, you get a lead, you know, and you call them up. Hi, is this Sean? What are they going to say? What normally happens?
Yeah, they lie or they change something.
Right.
Like, well, they're not here. Or,
Who's
Yeah.
asking?
who's
Yeah.
asking? Yeah.
So, Laurie, when somebody calls, you know, when Lewis calls you, does he go, "Hi, is this Laurie?" No, because who else would be answering
Depends.
Laurie? Who
Yeah.
who else would be answering Laurie's phone, right? So that's one small shift. When any of us get a call and somebody says, "Is this Tosh?" The first thing I'm thinking, like, well, this isn't somebody I know. This is somebody that wants something, right? So
Mhm.
we're going to start for the assumption that the person we're calling is the person answering the phone. All right. And that's immediately now we've established a little bit of a relationship, right? You know, so it's little things like that that really make the dynamic shift, not a script, that you're reading verbatim. That's not going to change it. Okay. Um, so it's about putting your ego aside, caring more about that human than your ego, and letting go of the need to have approval from them or the need to have them be so excited that you have swooped in to help them, you know, in this journey. You can get your approval from your friends and your family and your faith. From these people, you need to be a guide. You need to be a relationship builder and a sounding board, and you need to ultimately make them realize why they need you. That's not going to happen in one phone call or 5 phone calls. That's the part that takes months, right? And then we need to make them feel heard, right? Instead of calling to give them information, just downloading this. Hey, guess what's happening with rates today? We've all done it, right? Oh, here's your market update. The most buyers care about a market update. They care about them, their update, their life, and their needs, right? So it's making them feel heard for what they're wanting to talk about. If somebody says, I'm waiting a year, we might compliment them by saying, I'm so glad you're taking this seriously. You know, if they say, I don't need a real estate agent. Hey, I am glad you're an educated consumer because a lot of times my clients don't have the clarity they need and they're really happy for me to bring that to them, right? All these things make them feel listened to without directly agreeing or disagreeing with them, right? We can always work on their objections, but when you just tell somebody they're wrong, it just shuts them down, right? It's their belief. Okay. So we're surfacing problems to create urgency. When you uncover and you find that ignorance or that fear or the confusion or the misinformation, that's when you've created the urgency for you to be involved. So don't be looking for urgency for the people that are like ready to buy now, you know, like the Zillow lead. Look for the people who are lost and confused and really don't know where to go because that's when you can do your best work. And I can guarantee you when you get off this call and go back to your database and you look at those leads you paid for a long time ago, most of those leads haven't transacted. And here's the interesting thing. That lead from 6 months ago, they are closer to transacting than that one you're going to get today because they're still lost, they're still confused, but they're still interested, right? So now there's opportunity to figure out why they haven't transacted. Okay, lot to cover there. Anybody have any thoughts on the relationship building things? I like makes it I hang up, right? When people when they don't know you, right? So
Yeah.
how do you have has anybody had the hang up happen before, right? When you call the lead. Okay. So let's look at that. How did you start the conversation? What's your script?
Well, when they hung up on me, it was like, hey, is this Jake?
Hmm.
Hello? Hello? That was it. It was over. And then they never
Yeah.
answered my phone call again, you know?
Yeah. Or maybe you're trying to pin them down to a specific property. Hi, I saw you clicked on 123 Main Street. Would you like to go see it? So what have we done there? For one, we've creeped the guy out. Like, how do you know I'm looking at 123 Main Street? The second, like, hey, would you like to meet with some random stranger at an abandoned house? Oh, we put them on the defensive position, right? How about would that conversation be different if we went at it as finding out what they're doing? Hey, Sean, I saw you clicked on 123 Main Street, or I saw you were online looking at homes. What is it about that property that has you interested? Right? Maybe they're just going to say they're just looking. Oh, I live next door. I wanted to see how much they wanted for that. That's what you want to hear. Why is that? Why do we want to know why that lead looked at the property? Does anybody have anything?
Yeah. Anyone have a thought on that?
Because we've all had the Zillow call, the neighbor, oh, I just wanted to know what they were asking or what, right?
Well, I like what Lisanne just put, because like whenever I call online leads, if I do, because I don't do it very often, or I get a call in, I get super nervous because I feel like I should, exactly what you said, like I need to be the expert. And I love how she just put just to soften your voice and sound like you're talking to a friend and just remove that pressure and just like dive into the confusion of it all. Like I like that spin on it because I get super, well, even on these calls, I get nervous. So the shaky gets in my voice. So I like that take on it.
Yeah. So let's be genuinely curious about that. What brought you to me into my sphere, right? If you're the neighbor
Yeah.
calling to find out about the house, that's more than just curiosity. They're either thinking, is that house bigger and better than mine? Should I move to that house? Should I sell my house? Hey, do you know somebody that might be interested in being a neighbor? Maybe you want to choose your own neighbor, right? There are all these avenues you can go, but it's about uncovering layers and being genuinely curious about what they're doing.
Yeah, Ashton wrote find their pain point, which is true, because pain really pushes people to do things as well. Maybe it bugs them that that house was listed for that much, and they're like, "There's no way it's going to sell." But then if they find out if it's going to sell, they want to sell theirs too, because
Yeah.
they might think it's worth the tax value or 100,000 less than what they thought. And if they have that extra money, gosh, you know what? I probably will move. I will go to Florida. I will go where I need to go.
And I can guarantee you when you call that lead and you find out all they were was the neighbor wanting to know, why that place was more expensive or whatever, they can feel and they can sense in your voice that you are disappointed in them because you needed an actionable client, didn't you? You needed them to sell their house or buy that house. And that comes across. But when you come at it from the point of curiosity, of genuine care, and you remove talking about real estate, you're going to find you're liberated, because the pressure is off. Has anybody ever gone into a listing appointment and the first thing the person says is just so you know, I'm interviewing other agents? Ever
Yeah.
happened to anybody?
Absolutely.
Yes. Now, in your stomach, you might be thinking, oh, crap, but what should be coming out of your mouth is, oh, fantastic, I'm glad you're educating yourself, and I welcome the opportunity to compete with anybody in this market. Same with thing if you've ever walked into a listing appointment and they say, just so you know, I'm not signing anything today. Has that ever happened to anyone?
Me
Instead of
and
being dejected, yeah, instead of being dejected, welcome that. Oh, that is fantastic. Now I can just get to know you and I don't have to worry about getting you to sign something, right?
well, you know what's
And I,
funny is we Dessa and I went to a listing presentation and she brought her kids with her. And we walked in and there's a whole family to interview against that seemed kind of irritated. And the first thing they said was, just so you know, we're probably not selling the house and we're not signing anything.
mhm.
And we're going to talk to multiple agents. I said, good. I don't care if you sell the house or not. I don't care if you work with me. I'm like, I'm actually just here to educate you guys, answer questions, and make sure that whoever you decide to go with, or if you even sell it yourself, that you have a clear path and you can ask all the questions you want. I don't even have a presentation for you. I'm just going to explain what it takes to sell your house to get top dollar. Does that work? And they're like,
Yeah, that's solid. That's solid gold, and you just hit on it exactly. You didn't make it about you. You didn't put pressure on them. You didn't put pressure on yourself to walk away with a listing. That's this. So, I want to talk about when we're talking about these lead sources, folks, we're talking about mining for gold. We're talking about having a database full of hundreds, if not thousands, of leads. Not everybody is going to convert. Not everybody is going to answer the phone. Not everybody's going to have a conversation. So it takes a lot of calls. It takes a lot of reps. It takes a lot of role play. This is a commitment to learning the science of lead conversion. And we're just giving you kind of a teaser here. But believe me, this is viable and you can work this. And from a business owner standpoint, these leads come at a much reduced price compared to bottom of the funnel leads, like, anybody that's paying for Zillow or any of those. So this is an opportunity, especially as a new agent, to fill your database with names of people and set yourself up for business in the next 6 months, next year. But the old things you've heard, online leads suck, never pay for leads. That's true if you don't learn the science of lead conversion, because then you are just throwing your money away and the leads do suck, right? Well, the leads don't suck, you suck, right?
yeah.
So let's talk about some actionable plans here. Put a one in the chat if you actually have a database with people in it right now that you paid for. Yeah, definitely. So we've got some money to be made there, right? So our first step needs to be how do we re-engage these leads and how do we re-engage them on a level that gets them wanting to talk to us, right? The good thing about online leads is they have short memories, right? If you flubbed the call 3 months ago, 6 months ago, they hung up on you, it doesn't matter. We go back to them and we go back to them with a refreshed mindset of, I'm going to take all this pressure off me. I'm not calling for a commission. I'm not calling to get them, to get answers out of them. I'm calling to find out what they're up to and what's going on in their life, you know we're going to use the law of reciprocity here. And I'm sure it sounds like, from Lewis, you guys have all studied that, but we're going to ask things of them to build a relationship and to build some obligation. And great ways to do that are leading questions. I'm assuming here everybody has some sort of system so that they're sharing properties or whatever with these leads, right? So they're doing that. A great way to do that, our way of engaging leads is to send them a property. Now we have a pretty advanced CRM system, and it can do things like send them the last three properties they viewed, stuff like that. But if you have some means to that, just send them a property and said, hey, I saw you were looking at 123 Main Street. I really would like to have some feedback on that to give to the seller. Can you tell me what you thought of that kitchen? Ask pointed questions that get them to give a defined response to you and an opinion. Now, most people that we deal with, buyers and sellers, they have lots of opinions, right? And they're usually very happy to share them. And that creates that little reciprocity bond. I'm asking something of you, and then you're giving it to me, right? And that starts a relationship and it starts another great question avenue. Oh, you thought that kitchen was a 2 out of 10? Are you a foodie? Are you a cook? Right? It's opening up more avenues for discussion. Right?
What I like about that is it's a non-defensive question you're asking. You're
Yeah.
not going to make them retreat because you're not saying, when are you going to buy? Are you interested? Blah, blah, blah. You're saying, hey, you looked at that. What did you hate about it?
Yeah. And oftentimes they don't have to be doing you the favor. They're doing it for a third party, my seller, or,
Mhm.
that kind of thing. Um, so that's a really great way to start engagement. The other is just following up with your last conversation. Hey, when I talked to you last year, you thought you were about 6 months out. What has changed? How's that looking now, right? Not asking them to commit to doing something. Once you get a conversation going with them, then you can ease into more real estate type stuff. But I don't want you to do that until you feel you actually know something about this person, that you know something about their lifestyle, their job, or something like that. Almost every agent that comes to us initially, that has worked in this field and never worked online leads is programmed to have the LP mama. I got to know where they want to live. I got to know whether they're pre-approved. I got to know if they have an agent, all that kind of stuff. Just wipe that out of your mind, right? Just know something about this person that is genuine and original that you can file away. Hey, last time we talked, you were about to have a baby. How'd that turn out? Right? Stuff the same way you talk to your friends or your family. Why are we treating them differently? Okay. And we talked a little bit on the topic of objections. Okay. Objections are just opportunity. And in fact, I think objection is a really bad word because it's like something we have to overcome, when really what it is something we can add clarity to. Rates are too high. Does anybody have a great rebuttal to that, or do you just hang up the phone at that point? I know somebody here has got some good response to the rates are too high.
Is anyone brave enough to mention what they would say if someone rates are what rates are too high? What you'd say?
I will. All right. So I usually just ask them another question and just say, well, why do you think that?
Hmm.
And then they'll give me their answer, and then I'll say, what do you think is considered low rates? I
Yeah,
get them talking more and just try to dive into that reasoning why. There's some pain point right there. And then we can, talk more about, hey, well, there's ways around that. There's buy downs and different things of that nature.
That's 100% right. Because for one, Sean didn't make him wrong. Well, historically, we are at a, nobody gives a crap about history. They care about right now, right? So he didn't make him wrong, and he also peeled back the onion a little bit. Why is it? What is it about rates? Are rates the only thing? Is it about monthly payment that you're concerned about? How? Because as we all know, most buyers specifically don't understand the correlation between rates and everything else, or rates and payment even, right? They're just going off what they've been heard from the news or the uncle told them or things like that, right? So that gives him an opportunity to have a greater discussion. So, maybe you're finding out that rates are going to come down. But what do we know? For every point in rate drop, it's another million buyers in the market, right? So yeah, rates are high, but opportunities, there's less competition, things like that. But again, it's not just saying you're wrong, or yeah, you're right, rates are high. I'll call you back and, when rates drop 2%.
Yeah, I got a quick. Yeah, I know we could talk about this for probably a couple of years, right? Like this is
Yeah.
a massive topic that you study over and over, and we only got a few minutes left. So I wanted to, if everyone could write down while me and Tosh are talking for a second, your biggest takeaway. Just please write down your biggest takeaway and share it in the chat box. That would be great. And Tosh, I wanted to ask you, you sent me these items of value, essentially a participant worksheet, law of reciprocity, before you call mindset, basically reminders of what you're going to do, and follow-up scripts. With those, do you want me to put that in the group me, and then everyone can see it and they can share? If you were invited to this meeting, they can share that with you. That'd be the easiest way probably to get it out to everyone.
Yeah, sure.
You cool with that? Also, you talked about if people liked this and wanted to learn more, you would consider teaching some more and role playing. Is that correct?
Yeah, definitely. Because, here's to be honest, everything I gave you is great tips, but the rubber has to meet the road at some point.
Yeah.
You have to start making calls, but the role play for us, the role play was what, you just have to do this stuff over and over and over until you're comfortable with it, and having these
Okay.
conversations. And so that's the key is just getting out there and delving into this and having really good systems. I will admit, I mean, our tech backbone is immense because it stays engaging leads over time. We regularly have 700-800 day old leads returning, and then knowing what to say to them when they do return, getting rid of that ego and the shame of picking up the phone or not calling the league because you didn't call them back the last time they called you 6 months ago. Like, you just got to check all that at the door and just start doing the thing.
That's awesome. So let me ask the group this. Put a one in the chat box if you would be interested in having another training on this or role playing. Would anyone want to be a part of like a role playing call? How often should we do that, Tosh? It looks like some people are interested.
This has been absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Such
I
good
mean,
training.
I'm good. We could do it a couple times a month, once a month, whatever works
Okay. And we
best
can
for your
even,
schedule.
yeah, why don't we collaborate on that and we'll put it out to the group on when's a good time to do these role play calls. And what do you think would be good for a half hour, an hour? What's
Yeah,
best for
half hour is a good one. We'll just pick a topic for that one and drill down on
and
that.
bust through it. So I'll share all these items with everybody. So it's essentially we've taken notes for them and they can review and go through all this for what we talked about and start building a game plan for what they can do, and then they can come to the meeting and role play.
Yep.
Perfect. Awesome. So, wow, we got a lot of people interested. Kay, we will get that to everyone. If you are invited to this meeting by someone, just ask them because they'll be able to access this information from GroupMe and then they'll share it to you and they'll get you the time. We got just a minute left, so I wanted to read a couple of these. First of all, thank you, Tosh. You're the man.
Yeah, Tosh,
Awesome.
thank you. This has just been incredible. Appreciate you and Lisa, just all of you guys taking the time to be here. It's been amazing.
Thanks for
Yeah.
having us.
Amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, put a one in the chat box if you found that this was valuable. Here's some clarity for you, Tosh. Let's see if anyone thought it was valuable. That's always a scary one to ask, right?
You're,
People like
you're right,
zero,
Louis. You should have been charging.
So that's awesome. Gosh, I wish we had time to read through what everyone liked, but we can. This is recorded, so we will also post the recording in GroupMe, and we're building a library where we're going to post it where and everyone in the group can go and look at all of our past training. So that'll be great, and we'll end on time at 10:30. So just want to thank everyone for showing up, for participating. Almost everyone stayed here. We had 35 people on here, and so glad we brought value to the market. I knew Tosh was going to crush it. So I'm looking forward to role playing a couple times a month. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, now go make your calls. Call those people.
That's right. Thank you guys, everybody. Have a wonderful.
Thank you.
See ya.